Right, this meeting is called to order. Welcome to the Union Township Planning Board meeting. Today is Thursday, February 23rd, 2023. Ms. Rutledge, would you please recite the sunshine law?
Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Law, notice of this meeting stating the time and place was satisfied by the filing of an annual notice with the local source and the Star Ledger, newspapers of general circulation within the Township of Union, and posted on the bulletin board of the Township of Union Municipal Building.
Thank you, Ms. Rutledge. And also, would you please do a roll call for attendance, please?
Ms. Frazier? Mr. Lee?
Here.
Mr. Lewis?
Here.
Ms. Perkins? Reverend Starling? Mayor Figueredo?
Here.
Committeeman Bowser?
Here.
Ms. Ricketts?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Cohan? Chairman Johnston?
Here, we have a quorum. Ms. Fitzpatrick, would you please swear in Mr. Hatterer?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're going to be giving tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, so we have a resolution for, or the approval of the board minutes from the board meeting dated January 26, 2023. We have an amendment to those minutes to reflect on page 2 for application 2023-18 211 Hilton LLC. We have an amendment to those minutes that Committeeman James Bowser, in fact, voted yes. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I request to move the approval of minutes for January 26th of 2023.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Abstain, not present.
Mayor Figueredo?
Yes.
Chairman Bowser?
Yes.
Ms. Ricketts?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman Johnston?
Yes. Okay, again, I have a motion for the resolution from the meeting from January 26, 2023 for Dory Properties, B601 L10.
Mr. Chairman, I move for the removal of the resolution for Dory Properties, B601 L10. And just,
Second,
Second.
roll call?
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Abstain, not present.
Mayor Figueredo?
yes.
Chairman Bowser?
Yes.
Ms. Ricketts?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Chairman Johnston?
Yes. I have a motion for the resolution Dish Wireless B302L 6.01.
Mr. Chairman, I move the resolution for Dish Wireless B302L6.01.
Thank you. Second, please.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Abstain, not present.
Mayor Figueredo?
Yes.
Committeeman Bowser?
Yes.
Ms. Ricketts?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Chairman Johnston?
Yes. All right, for new business for tonight, we have two ventures. The first is going to be amendment to Land Use Ordinance, Chapter 170. The second is an ordinance to the Clinton Manor redevelopment plan. Both will be eventually referred back to our Township Committee for adoption. I will ask the witness to please identify herself, please.
Good evening, Kristen Russell with Colliers Engineering and Design.
Thank you, Ms. Russell. Ms. Fitzpatrick, would you please swear in the witness?
Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to give tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. And please, did you state your name? Please state your name for the record. Kristen Russell. Thank you. That one's not showing up. I don't know why. Then again, there's nobody in the audience, so maybe we don't care. Do you all see it in front of you? Okay, then I'm just going to go forward. I'm here this evening to go over some zoning code amendments that you have before you. As you recall, in 2022, we adopted a new zoning code. That was a very large undertaking, and it is not surprising that as we go through the year and start using that code, that we find typos and other typographical errors that just need to be corrected. And that's what we're here for this evening. As I said, the zoning code was adopted in August of 2022, and these are typographical errors. I just have a list of the edits that I can run through quickly for you. We've corrected some definitions related to flood damage. There was a sentence fragment in the CI zone. And throughout the code, if you're working with it, you'll see that there are a lot of cross-references. You know, landscaping must conform with section somewhere else in the code. And in the course of turning your old code into what we have now, some of those were overlooked or mistyped, and we're really just correcting those cross-references. So there's no, in all of these changes, there's no substantive changes, nothing that modifies the standards or the scope of the code that we have. I'll also point out that you had previously in 2022 adopted some amendments removing warehouse uses. And so we amended the permitted use table, eliminating warehouses and distribution centers to align with the resolution that the governing body adopted later last year. That's really all that this is doing. The code that was adopted in 2022 was consistent with the master plan, and because this is really all just corrective changes, there's no reason to think that it is no longer consistent with the master plan. So this is really an administrative amendment at this point. No, this one's pretty straightforward.
With that said, I'd like to take a motion to approve amendment land use ordinance chapter 170 municipal code, be referred back to the township committee for adoption.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance as consistent with the master.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mayor Figueredo?
Yes.
Committeeman Bowser?
Yes.
Ms. Ricketts?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Chairman Johnston?
Yes. So moved. Thank you, Ms. Ross.
Thank you.
Now you go to part two.
Yes. Okay. Do you want to read anything into the record, or should I?
Other than we're going to be hearing testimony regarding the road development plan from Christine Russell.
Yes, hello. All right, so I'm here tonight to present to you the Clinton Manor redevelopment plan. In September of 2020, Union Township determined that this parcel, which is, you can see the tax map on your screen now, qualified as an area in need of redevelopment. So at that time, a study was undertaken, and various redevelopment criteria were applied to the site. It was determined to qualify, and the next stage in that process is that we write this redevelopment plan. This is a property along Route 22 West. It currently has the hotel on it, and it's a 4.3 acres in size. This is just a little reminder about the steps that were taken in 2020. The two criteria that the site qualified under was to put it briefly, that the site was substandard, unsafe, dilapidated, or obsolescent, and that the area had a faulty arrangement of design and was detrimental to the safety, health, morals, and welfare of the community. Of course, the area in need study went into much more detail, but I'm just sort of refreshing your memories. This runs a little bit slowly. Okay, so one of the steps that we must take when considering a redevelopment plan is consistency with the master plan of the county, adjacent towns, and the state. And so I'm going to run through the consistency to provide you evidence that this will not be inconsistent with your existing master plan. In 2021, you adopted your master plan, and there are 3 goals that align this proposed redevelopment plan to your existing master plan. The first is to support desirable non-residential development, and it goes on to say identify zoning ordinance improvements that can respond to changing economies and market demands. So that's exactly what we're doing here tonight. Another goal is to establish realistic market-driven and financially feasible redevelopment plans that attract new development and encourage redevelopment or rehabilitation of existing properties. Again, that's what we're doing here. And it goes on to encourage the improvement of properties that are in disrepair. And I think that most people would agree that the property that we're talking about tonight is seeing some level of disrepair. And third, to encourage sustainability and resilience as part of development. You may be aware that the state has adopted EV charging regulations, and that will be incorporated into this plan and, in fact, all of your plans going forward. And that is a step that we take towards encouraging sustainability. Now, Springfield is the community adjacent and located most closely to the site that we're talking about this evening. Their zoning district that is on the border with Union is OSGU, Open Space Government Use, and that runs along the Rahway River, and it seeks to take advantage of redevelopment properties along Route 22 corridor. As new uses are proposed for underutilized sites. So that's what they plan to do in Springfield along the same corridor. So it does not seem inconsistent that we would be doing the same thing just down the road. Ooh. Whoa. Okay. We also look at the county. Union County's master plan is from 1998. And they had 2 goals and objectives that apply to this project. The first being to facilitate the development of Union County by directing new growth to environmentally suitable areas and to revitalize urban centers and corridors. And second, to promote new development and redevelopment that is consistent and compatible with existing settlement patterns. In 2005, Union County had a cross-acceptance report, and they acknowledged that Union will most likely experience growth through redevelopment and density-appropriate infill activities. Again, exactly what we're doing here. And then at the state level, there's the State Development and Redevelopment Plan, which assigns planning areas to everywhere within the state, Union Township being within Planning Area 1, which is intended to provide for much of the state's future development, revitalize cities and towns, and stabilize older suburbs. The redevelopment plan seeks for PA1 to promote redevelopment and diversification of land uses, to promote economic development by encouraging infill development, and to encourage a broad range of uses and efficient use of infrastructure. So the type of redevelopment that we're looking at tonight is consistent with the vision that the state had for Union. I do not know what's happening. So that brings us to the real meat of the redevelopment plan. Now we've talked about consistency, we've talked about the redevelopment law that brought us here, so now let's talk about the meat of the plan, and that's basically what the zoning is that the plan's going to allow. This aligns awfully closely with the CI zone, which is the corridor zoning along that strip along that highway there, and so we didn't want it to be all that different from what's already permitted in the area. We didn't want conflicting uses. So this allows hotels and motels, laboratories, data centers. I'm not going to read all of them aloud to you, but you can see it's kind of larger uses, uses that are pretty much auto-oriented because there's not going to be a whole lot of pedestrian activity on that strip. Self-storage facilities, and then I'll bring your attention to the last one on the list, which is cannabis cultivation centers, manufacturers, wholesalers, and distributors, which was more recently brought into your zoning code when those state laws passed. So we are allowing that on this site. And then, I am not seeing what you're seeing. Are you seeing the bulk standards on your screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's not what I'm seeing on my screen. So next we have the bulk standards. Again, just like how you would see in a zoning code, we establish the setbacks, the building height, and so forth. We've set a minimum lot area of 40,000 square feet. What that does, it allows the lot to be potentially subdivided into 2 lots. It can also be developed as 1 lot, but it does give some flexibility for the developer for however financing comes through. And so if it suits them and helps them better develop the site as 2 parcels, that is allowable. Maximum building height, I really need this to come up on my screen or wear glasses. Here we are. Maximum building height, we have 5 stories or 65 feet, whichever is less. Maximum setbacks from the public right-of-way, 50 feet. So, of course, this isn't going to be right up on the highway there. There will be a setback. There may be some parking and circulation in front of the building. And then from side lot lines, we're looking at 20 feet. And a maximum lot coverage of 80%. That's pretty typical for this sort of zone, to have the building, the parking, and then still have about 20% of impervious coverage. And then just a few other, I don't know what's happening, but I've got it. Sure. Yeah. Just a few other items that I want to bring up to your attention. The parking that we've established in this plan is consistent with what's already in your zoning code. I don't want to invent new standards if it's really not necessary, so I just refer back to that code. Any cannabis use is also subject to the existing code requirements, which also means it's subject to the plethora of state requirements that are out there. Similarly, signage refers back to the existing code so that we have some sort of consistent design along that corridor. Landscaping is required throughout the parking lot and along the yards, and mechanical, refuse, and loading areas need to be screened from view. So we should have a nice, attractive look from the street, tucking all that stuff that is more unsightly behind the building or behind landscaping, so that the site really should be attractive from the right-of-way. That's the meat of it, but I'm happy to take other questions about more details if I haven't covered anything that you're interested in.
Okay. Any questions from the board? With no question, there's no one in the audience, so I guess no question there either. Would you like to wrap up?
Yeah, so this is a redevelopment plan. You've seen redevelopment plans come before you before, and this is the same process where previously an area in need study was adopted. The next step in that process, as set forth by the state, is to create a redevelopment plan. That's what you're looking at tonight. I've demonstrated that it is consistent with your existing master plan. It is consistent with the master plans of the state, county, and adjacent communities. And the plan that is before you tonight will allow a variety of commercial, industrial uses on that parcel. That parcel can be developed as one site, or because of the lot area of 40,000 square feet on a larger lot, it could be divided theoretically into 2 sites. We've established parking standards, we've established height standards, setbacks, impervious coverage, all the things that you typically see in zoning. And hopefully the height and the uses and hopefully everything that we've established this evening incentivizes the development of that site so that it can really improve over its existing conditions.
Well, thank you for your presentation of that. That was been done very professionally. I'd like to have hear a motion to approve the ordinance Clinton Manor redevelopment plan to be referred back to the Township Committee for adoption.
Mr. Chairman, I request to approve the ordinance for the Clinton Manor redevelopment plan.
Second? Roll call?
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mayor Figueredo?
Yes.
Committeeman Bowser?
Yes.
Ms. Ricketts?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Chairman Johnston?
Yes. Okay, so ordered. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. With there being no other new business, I'd like to take a motion that we adjourn.
Move to adjourn?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, no? The ayes have it.